What's up, guys? It's George from Light of NYC, and today we have a very special business highlight, Lamborghini Paramus. We're going to be meeting with the GM, Eddie Jones. Let's see what he's up to. All right, guys, it's George from Light of NYC, and I'm here with Eddie Jones, the GM of Lamborghini of Paramus. So for those who don't know who you are, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Eddie Jones. Like you said, I'm the GM of Lamborghini Paramus. Been here for many years. We opened in 2015. I've been here since. I've been in this car industry for a lot of years now. Specifically, I've been with this company since 2008.
So how did you get started in the car industry?
I started from the bottom. I came in sales, tried to figure out what was going on there. I started in 2008 in August, right before the whole world just exploded. And I used that downtime to just figure out what was actually going on, different departments, and figure out what everybody does and why and how things work. I really didn't even understand what I was doing.
What do you look for in an ideal employee as a GM, right? Because you started from the bottom and then now you're here, right? You're the GM of a Lamborghini store, a luxury store. What do you look for in an ideal employee?
That's a great question, actually. I try to get a vibe off of people's personalities, how they are, how they interact with other people, how much they care about what they're doing or what they're supposed to be doing. It's a little bit of everything. Part of it is their talent, their potential.
But also history too. Do you look at a person's history of where they started and where they are at now?
For sure. You know, you're looking at all of that stuff. You know, some things, what they do in their personal life, because a lot of times, especially for a brand like this, it all ties together. This brand is all relationship driven. So a lot of what you're doing is not during your 9 to 5 hours. It's after hours, the extra effort you put in. So it's all important.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
I'd probably take even more chances and start even earlier.
So is college necessary?
Me personally, I never thought it was necessary. It works for some people. Other people figure out how to get what they want without it.
So maybe if you're like a doctor or a lawyer, but to get in this specific field, you don't need a college degree.
I would hope if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you went to college. But besides that, I don't think you necessarily need it.
For people that want to tap into luxury sales, where do they start?
In luxury sales, you should really just get your foot in the door, whatever that is.
Entry-level position, car wash.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is, just to get your foot in the door.
You could be the guy moving cars, you could be the guy mopping the floor, but if you want it more than the next guy.
I don't know about these cars. These are some like expensive toys over here.
Yeah, they are, but you get in and you figure it out, and anything's possible. You got to believe it, you got to dream it, and if you want it more than the next person, it's definitely possible.
Not a big showroom, but it's a fair showroom with very expensive cars. So show me around a little bit. What do we got?
We got a little bit of everything in here. Pretty much everything in the showroom right now is pre-owned. This car is brand new. The rest of these are all certified pre-owned. So through Lamborghini, they have the extended warranty. That's on a previous generation Gallardo. These in the middle, these are the SUVs, the Urus. This is actually, believe it or not, this is the most popular product that the brand has to offer. So
now this is the new Lamborghini Urus, right? Yeah. These come in two models. They come in a base model and now a Performante.
Right, so the S would be the base model. That's like the comfort, and then the Performante is the more aggressive sporty version. So those models actually just discontinued, and the model that's arriving this month is a hybrid version of that.
It's a plug-in hybrid.
Yeah, so they're plug-in hybrid. All of the brand is going towards hybrid now. So from the flagship V12 car, which is the Revuelto, to even the replacement of these cars. So these right here, Huracans, they're all V10. Yeah. And the replacement to those coming out next year is going to be a twin turbo V8 hybrid.
But those are actually outputting more horsepower than the V10s.
Yes, yeah. So the hybrid, because you have the combination of both the combustion engine and the battery power. This car here, these cars, you're looking at 640 horsepower approximately. The new car, it's almost 900 horsepower. Yeah, it's a big jump. The V12 car is about 1,000 horsepower. You know, it's a lot of power that you're getting out of these hybrids.
I did a little bit of research on you. You had an Audi, right?
Yeah.
So you are a car guy. Yeah. What is your favorite Lamborghini?
My favorite Lamborghini, Aventador SB Roadster. That's like 2016, 2017.
You have one of those here?
We do. We have one outside, actually.
Can we check it out?
We can.
Yeah, let's do it. This is your favorite Lambo?
Yeah, this is my favorite Lambo.
Okay, and why is this your favorite Lambo? What kind of Lambo is this?
So this is the Aventador SB that I was telling you about. To me, this embodies the idea of Lamborghini. You tell someone they might not necessarily be a car person. When they hear Lambo, it's a household name. So they're thinking doors up, loud, wild looking, spaceship. This is that car. I don't really have to explain to you what a Lamborghini is. When I show you this, you just know. Aside from that, I think it has a timeless look. Naturally aspirated V12, so there's no turbos, there's no supercharger, there's no hybrid power.
It's just all engine.
It's just all engine, V12. It sounds crazy, it looks crazy, it drives extremely aggressive. You know, when you're in the car and you're driving, you know, you feel like you're a race car driver, but you feel like you're a pilot at the same time.
So how much does this cost?
$550,000, and this is a 2016 coupe with about 10,000 miles.
2016, and it's over 500,000?
Yeah. One of the other things with the brand is that the cars are extremely reliable. So unlike other exotic cars, our clients typically drive a lot more because they feel that they can, because the cars are very reliable. In turn, the trade-off from that is that the cars retain their values very well over time. Someone can feel safe spending so many hundreds of thousands of dollars, use it, and know that in the future, if they wanted to get out of it, they've still retained most of that value.
Because a lot of brands, like, they don't retain their values. What you bought it for is not necessarily what you're going to get later on.
Usually what that comes from, just because I work for Lambo doesn't mean Lambo's the only car I like. I like cars. I like other cars too and other brands. But a lot of times the reason why you have issues with values and stuff like that, the first major thing is usually when the cars aren't reliable. So if they have a bunch of issues and your true cost of ownership is very high, meaning after you bought the car, you have a lot of unknown expenses. This broke, this doesn't work, that stopped working. You have all these added expenses, and now people don't want to have the car anymore. When those things start to arise, they just want to get out of it. They start to trade the cars, more of those cars enter the market. The other reason why that happens sometimes is there's some brands that just overbuild too many. They build too many of these cars. Exotic cars are made in very limited numbers, and they still are, even though production has increased.
So that kills the resale value.
It does.
Think about it like kind of like a sneaker. I don't know if you're a sneaker guy. So
always been a sneaker
when
head.
Jordan mass produced these shoes and everybody was able to get their hands on these shoes, that kind of reduced the value a little bit. The value of the Jordans back in like 2012 compared to now, you can't compare.
Can't compare. It made it too easily accessible. You could get them everywhere. You could get them from the mall. You could get them from the shop down the street.
Absolutely.
You get it from, you know, the guy that you know that flips sneakers, you know. And that's what happens with a lot of these brands. A lot of the cars end up in non-franchise dealers. Like, you're standing in a Lambo dealer right now. We got one of every flavor, whatever you want. There's other brands that they build so many cars that those cars are everywhere. So you could get it from Joe Blow Motors down the street. There's somebody else that's got it. A non-franchise dealer has it. Everyone has them.
But for someone that wants to, what kind of car is this?
This is the new Revuelto. So this is actually the car.
And it's sold. Guys, this is actually sold, right?
This one is sold.
This is sold.
Yeah.
This is somebody's car.
So this one is accounted for already, but this car is what replaced this car.
So this is a newer model,
yeah,
right? So this is sold. How long does it take to do a custom order for a Lamborghini?
So it depends how crazy you want to get. But if you're ordering a car like this, you're probably 2 years out. This is the new Revuelto. So this is the car that replaced the Aventador. Right. So the Aventador is no longer in production, and this is the car to replace it. This is still a V12, but now it also has the hybrid power. So like I said, this is 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah. What's the battery size on something like this?
So the battery is about 200 horsepower, and the V12 creates about 800 horsepower. Amazing about this car is it jumped light years ahead in terms of technology. So if you've been looking at cars since you were a kid, then one thing everybody always just knew was standard was exotic cars didn't have any technology. They barely had radios and air conditioners. They had nothing. They had engine, they had looks, and they had speed, and that was it. Now we've gotten to the days where your average regular daily car comes with everything. It's got all the radio and Bluetooth and lights and cameras.
Apple CarPlay?
Apple CarPlay. We got to the point where you almost can't have a car, regardless of what car it is, without these comfort features. Even with the exotic cars, you know, they have everything. So
I feel like Eddie Jones had a lot to do with it. I know you made the call to Lambo and said, "Hey guys,
you know, I had to drop some feedback in the.
This is what we need to accelerate the brand."
Yo, you need it. You need a little bit of everything. You need the technology, you need the looks, you need the sound, you need that comfort, because that was another thing from years ago. The cars are lower to the ground. They might be a little smaller inside. So some of the cars from years ago weren't that comfortable. So now these newer generation of cars, they have so many of the amenities that you would just expect in a car, and they're comfortable. But on top of that, they look good and sound good, and they're extremely fast. So
That's
you know,
cool.
it's really
So
got everything.
You got a lot of flavors out here. So now tell me about this one. This one has more of like a beefy compared to the regular Huracan. Compared to this, this is kind of like more of like an off-road. What's the difference between the Huracan and what's this?
So we got
Technica.
we got a couple different Huracans right here. So this one's a Huracan Evo. So this is one of the last versions of the Huracan. This is an all-wheel drive Huracan V10. This is a different version of that same car. So this is the Storado. But this one is designed to be either the off-road car or the everyday car, however you want to use it. The Storado is designed for if you want to use it off-road. The suspension is raised off the ground. The wheels are smaller, but the tires are thicker. So it comes with 19-inch wheels, but the tires are a lot thicker. And standard, it comes with all-terrain tires. So you could literally drive this right off the road, through the dirt, mud, sand, whatever. You still got all your traction, you're good. Yeah. And as you can see, the probably craziest feature is if you look at the top, not only does it have a roof scoop directly into the motor, but it has roof racks. So you want to throw a Thule on top, throw all your clothes and shoes up there and go on a road trip for the weekend, you still can. And then up front, it's got the rally lights.
Yeah, this is different.
So it's still a Huracan, but it was designed to be more usable. So not everybody's gonna go drive off-road through sand dunes, but some people might want to just use it every day. Now you don't have to worry about going over speed bumps, through driveways, whatever.
And then this right here, you got the STO.
Yes, so this is the STO. So this is basically, the body is designed after Lamborghini's factory race cars, the Super Trofeos. So
that's the car that you have inside.
Yeah, so that one's an older version. That's the Gallardo Super Trofeo. They have a Huracan Super Trofeo, which is the current race car version. But this body is designed off of that car. What makes the STO unique versus the regular Huracan is that all the body panels on this car, even though it's a Huracan, they're all unique to this car. The only carryover from a regular Huracan to this car are the doors, the mirror, and the roof. Everything else is unique to this car. So for example, the hood, this is one piece with the fenders included.
A lot of carbon,
and it's all carbon.
This
whole piece is carbon.
This whole what?
This is exposed carbon, so you can see it. The rest of it is painted, but this whole front end is all carbon.
Theo, how much does this cost?
So these, again, depending on how crazy you get with the spec, you could be anywhere from the high 3s to low 5s. You can get some crazy liveries and paints and go crazy on the interior design. This is the first gen of the Huracan, so this is what
first gen, and a car like this costs how much?
These, depending on the miles, you're in I'd say anywhere from the 175 to 199 range.
Okay, still like expensive, but more obtainable.
It's expensive, but it's obtainable. The thing about the Huracan range of cars, I think one of the things that makes it so popular is there's a lot of different variants for different people. The person that might want to track on the weekend, the person who wants daily, the person that wants to use it just on the weekends to drive and have fun, and someone who just wants to pull up and be flashy. But there's also different price points of it, and they're all different and unique enough that it checks a lot of boxes for people depending on what they're looking for. But also depending on income level, it's still a very attainable sports car and exotic car. And so this is a Ferrari SF90.
Wow.
This
is sold. This is sold.
Yeah, this one is sold as well. Yeah.
So Eddie, as a GM, how many cars do you guys normally sell a month?
So on average, around 20, which is a mix of like new and used.
So like, do Lamborghini guys, like sales guys, make money?
They do very well. One of my salespeople just bought himself a brand new Bentley Bentayga the other day. It used to be more open information. It's hard to picture it because one, you don't see the cars every day. Two, you could walk into my showroom right now and you're like, I don't even see anybody here buying cars, right? We're not a volume brand. So we're not doing 300, 400 cars a month. That's not gonna happen. But we're doing an amount of cars where we can cover all our overhead, cover all of our incomes, and still have room to grow. When we opened in 2015, we had only a couple of cars. There was only the Huracan and the Aventador in production at the time.
Now it's more, expanding the product line.
They're expanding the product line. Now there's 3 cars in current production. There's in the future, there's gonna be an all-electric car coming out. Since then, we've also not only grown our inventory of new cars, but our used cars and our other cars that we take in on trade. So, you know, when you walk in today, you don't even have a parking spot. You know, you came back here at that time and listen, you could park wherever you want. You could pretty much park in the showroom if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, it's changed. And the brand has changed as well. The brand perception is at an all-time high. Our profile of clients, it seems to be that Lamborghini has become the go-to first generation, first time getting into money or whatever it is. People want to go out and get that Lambo car. It's almost like the trophy that you can actually use. I've said that a few times to people. You want to be able to show your level of success, but not everybody's going to see your house.
This is the way that other people see you.
You could take this out, and then not only does it become a trophy that you can use, but then you could use it to network with other people.
True, because I know when I see somebody driving a Lamborghini, what does that guy do for a living?
Right. It makes you curious, right?
Yeah.
So now, if you're the guy driving a Lambo, and you go park at the spot, and then while you're in there, you see the other guy pulled up in the Lambo. It's almost like an icebreaker to a conversation that leads
like
to so many other things.
Yeah. All right, so show us a little bit more inside.
Yeah, okay.
The parts. But yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time, bro.
Of course.
Eddie, one thing I wanted to ask you, so you can buy something,
right,
but you also need to maintain it in the aspect.
For sure.
Is it costly to maintain a Lamborghini?
That's a great question. So, alluding back to the other conversation we were having about values and about people driving the cars more because they're reliable, it's all part of the same conversation. When you buy the Lambo from brand new with the warranty, full bumper to bumper, also the cars do come with maintenance.
So does Lamborghini include maintenance with their cars?
Lamborghini does include maintenance.
Okay, so guys, look, you can get your Lamborghini and also maintenance is included.
Past the warranty period where there's no more maintenance left, or maybe the car is older now, and now you have to bring it into service where the car comes in for here. One of the reasons why people drive the car so much is because, again, cost of ownership isn't ridiculous. The days of having to drop your engine out service, that doesn't exist anymore. These cars are modernized enough where you can just do a regular oil change service, fluids, filters, and get right back on the road. The cost of an actual annual service is not crazy. When I came from Mercedes, working with some of the mutual friends that we have, the first client that I brought in and I had to, walk him through service and get his car service, it was less than doing a G-Wagon for the last customer I had at Mercedes, which to me was mind-blowing.
Looking at the brand, people wouldn't know that.
People wouldn't know that.
People think about a Lamborghini, it's such a big brand.
For sure.
You're not going to think that.
You think because of the cost of the car that, the service is going to be $30,000 service, is going to be crazy, and it's not like that. And the other thing to keep in mind is that the length of time of ownership is typically between 12 to 14 months. So it's not like your typical sports car, maybe, where people keep it 2 years or 3 years, or their daily car where they keep it 3-4 years. It's not like that. The length of ownership is typically very short.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's not a Lambo, but we do our classic restorations.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Want to see it?
Yeah, let's do it. He's going to take us back to where he does classic restoration.
It's a little sneak peek behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Look, only of Light of NYC. As a GM, you oversee all of it.
Yeah. This is a completely different operation. This doesn't have anything to do with our Lamborghini dealership.
This is a subset of what you guys do. Another revenue
This is a different venture, different revenue stream, completely different business. Just right now, it currently operates out of a space that's in a shared space in the showroom. What we do back here is service and maintenance and actually full restorations of typically air-cooled Porsches. We do other classic cars as well.
Yeah, but you guys mainly focus
on Porsche cars, air-cooled Porsches. So when I say full restoration, I literally mean we do the whole restoration in-house. The only thing we don't do,
from engine to color change to
the whole thing, we strip the car down to the bare chassis, and then we send them out for sandblast, full repaint, rotisserie repaint, and then it comes back, we fully reassemble, but we also rebuild engine, suspension, transmission, everything. The only thing we don't do in-house, we don't paint because we don't have a paint booth. And we don't do upholstery because that's just something that, we don't need to spend the time on that when there's someone else that specializes in that and they can do it quick. If you look around the shop, you'll actually see motors that we've finished or in the process of completing. and you'll see cars that come in, like a car that'll come in for maintenance, but then you got a car like this.
So this looked like it was just
this is a restoration that we're basically rebuilding everything back. So we had
Is this for sale?
So with the restorations, what we typically do, let's say you had a car in mind, you wanted to, like this client did, and you said, Eddie, I want to build a 914. First, we go out and help you find the donor car. You buy the donor car from us. Then you sit down with my staff and we figure out what's your dream build.
Wow.
And then we map it out along the way and we help guide you.
So you remember that show, Pimp My Ride?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a Pimp My Ride,
yes,
but more on the classic side.
But the difference is, being that it's a Porsche product, we try to stay purist. So we're not building like resto mods or anything like that.
Not adding TVs to the back.
No, so we're keeping everything primarily original. We're keeping things period correct, meaning this car has the right wheels, the right radials, the right dash, everything from that time. So basically the end product is you're getting a classic car from the 60s or 70s that's brand new. If you went to that side of the showroom and you wanted to spec out the Lambo, you'd be like, all right, I want this color interior, this leather, I want this stitching, I want this color with these wheels.
So which one costs more, the classic Porsche to spec a Lamborghini?
That's a great question. What do you think?
I think a classic car, because number one, the parts are more, right? Versus an actual Lamborghini. It's like that's more accessible. So it's not.
So to be honest with you,
that's mass production. These are one-of-one production.
True. It comes out about the same. But it also, again, just like on that side, it depends how crazy you want to get. This is a build that'll probably be in the 200, 250 range.
Okay, versus.
That's a build that when that's all said and done, that's going to probably be like a 375 build. That's another one, customer, we found the donor car for them. We're going through their whole dream wish list of what they want. You know, the end product, we just sourced a set of original BBSs, and you see the wide fenders. So we had to get some crazy to spec wheels. The finished product it's gonna be a show car. When these cars are done, like you could eat off the interior. You walk around the car, everything is brand new. You know, you look inside, there's no stone untouched. Everything is redone.
Everything is mint.
Yeah,
this is a showpiece.
And we go over the top with a lot of it. Like all the gold hardware you see is stuff that we specially source so that it doesn't rust or anything over time. So you know, just a little attention to detail on these little things makes a difference. You want it to look right, but you want it to be usable. You want it to run right. So that day you decide to walk down into your garage and turn the key, and fire it up and go, you want it to cut on. So that's why we put in extra effort to make these cars not only show cars, but they're actually usable.
So how many cars do you have in inventory right now?
60 pre-owned cars.
60 pre-owned,
which is a mix of Lambos. I have probably the biggest pre-owned Lambo inventory on the East Coast. And I say that confidently because I check everybody else's websites daily. And then I have a mixture of other exotic cars as well.
So that's 60 new and used?
No, the 60 is just pre-owned cars.
But it's new inventory?
The pre-owned is a mix of like Lambos and other exotics and other trade-ins and stuff. So that's why you see, like, I had that Ferrari out there, the Porsches. I have the classic cars, which most of my classic cars aren't here on site. I keep them on an off-site location in a climate control warehouse. And then, you know, the rest is like, I have a handful of new cars. Like on the showroom, I have that one new car. The rest is and then when we were outside, I think there was just one out there.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I appreciate you showing me.
Yeah, of course. Car just pulled in, and these three guys pulled in together, and then, you know, this other car that's, you know, you haven't seen for the past 10 years, you know, it's different. Then you hear the cars, and then you see everybody hop out, and you're like, man, these people don't look that different from me.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a different experience.
It's just based on the exposure of what you see.
Yeah, that's it. We're having an unveiling for the Temerario, which is a replacement for the Huracan.
Yeah.
So we're having that at the end of this month. Yeah, Temerario unveiling.
Temerario.
Yeah.
Temerario.
Temerario. Yep, you got it. Temerario. Yep, Temerario. Yeah, that's the end of this month on the 28th. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it's 28th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Eddie, you reached out a pretty high level, right? So how do you balance? How do you balance your staff? How do you balance your personal life? But how do you also balance trying to reach that certain level? Because I know there's a certain number or quota you have to reach.
Right.
Like, how do you balance everything?
I think you chop away at it daily. It all becomes one when it's your personal life and your business life, the office. It kind of blends together in certain ways. The only way to do it is to really be regimented. You know, you have to have your structure, your outline of what you do. You have to know what it is that you want to do to know where you need to be. You got to care. I know I said that before, but it's important. You actually have to care. You can just do it to do it, but if you're just here for money, I personally don't think you ever make it. You got to actually have to want it. You got to care. You have to enjoy it. I tell people all the time, if you don't enjoy what you do? I love it.
You love it?
Love it, yeah.
So it doesn't become like it's a job. It's like you're showing up, you're doing what you love.
Yeah, I like to be around people. I like to help people. I like luxury goods. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be cars, but I do love cars. I think for me, it's just easy because, you know, I enjoy what it is I'm doing. So really, I just try to use my position to empower everyone else in different ways. It could be staff in a certain position, help them figure out what they're doing or need to do, or just hiring someone, giving them a chance, or even clients that need help to get approved to get into a car. You know, there's all different ways you can help people. Sometimes it's the kid that walks through the door that just dreaming and drooling over cars. And I'm like, oh, and come in, give them a couple words of advice and send them on their way.
You never know where that's gonna lead you.
You never know.
Yeah, I know you had some people that probably walk in and they're like, all right, cool, I'll buy that one.
I got a million stories about people that, you know, you would never believe would buy a car and end up buying a car. You definitely can't judge anyone, and not even just at this level, but you just can't judge people by the way that they look or even the car they pulled up in. Because I could tell you, I got clients with the collections that you couldn't even dream of in 100 lifetimes, and their daily is some 100,000 mile car with a check engine light on it. But, you know, that's just how they do it.
So you probably sold to the 1% of America.
Yeah.
Give me 3 qualities that you feel every successful person has.
I think the one is they want it more than everyone else. 2, they're willing to do whatever it takes more than anyone else. The third one, I think, is actually the biggest one. There's just no fear. Risk is not even a word. It's not even a thought. Yeah, it doesn't exist.
There is no risk. There's no plan B.
Right.
Because a lot of people, they're feared of failing, right? When you don't want to fail, you don't want to mess up.
You have to fail.
Yeah. In order to learn. You
have to fail. People don't realize that failure is actually a good thing. You're gonna get over that fear because you already know what's gonna happen if you do that again, right? Now the next time you do it, there is no fear. But you also learn what not to do. But also by learning what not to do, you learn what to do.
It's not what happens to you, it's how you handle it.
So you just gotta keep it going. You can sit there and cry and sulk, or you could lift yourself up and figure it out and kill it.
That's why I created Light of NYC, because I wanted to impact, inspire, and motivate people. So if you so if you look at my logo, it's basically like a light bulb, because I know there's a certain point of your life it's like, all right, this is it.
Right.
I want it to click.
Like that.
So that's why I created it. So seeing somebody like you, somebody that looks like me as well, I know I can do it.
It's possible. You just gotta want it more than everybody else and dream it and believe it. And that's it. I personally believe anything you actually think that you want to do, you can do. It's just a matter of, are you willing to do what it takes to do it?
What is next for Eddie Jones?
Ooh, just to keep leveling up. Well, here, I'm the highest position here, but the next is I gotta put my name on the building. So
of course,
that's the next level. And then after you get one, then you get another one. Then you get a few, and then you keep going.
Then you by the block.
Then you're in New Jersey, then you're in another state, and then you just keep going.
Yeah,
that's it.
I like that. Lamborghini is a very premium product, right? They don't do any advertisement. Why is that?
The cars, in a sense, sell themselves. The brand is based on relationships. Someone that walks through the door that can afford to buy these cars, if you really think about it, they can pretty much buy them anywhere they want. You don't need to advertise, because when you have it in your mind that you want a Lamborghini, you've probably been dreaming that car forever. You've been thinking it, you've been, you know, lusting over it forever. So by the time you have that in your mind that you want to pull the trigger, now what happens is you want to make that connection, that personal connection, and you need that personal touch. So that's where the dealer comes in. So part of the reason why there's no advertising online is because we want to avoid you getting into the rabbit hole of sitting online and going through and figuring out all these different things and reaching out to all these different, come through the door, come talk to me. Then we could figure it out together. You know, you might not know one thing from the next. You're listening to this guru tell you how to do it, and you're listening to that person.
Everybody else besides
a friend
the people
of a friend
that do it every day.
All you gotta do is walk through the door and just ask the questions. That's it.
Anybody could buy luxury cars pretty much anywhere. Why shop Lamborghini at Paramus?
Because there's no Eddie Jones anywhere else.
There's only one of one.
That's it. For me, I think the culture in this store is we just care more. And I think that's huge. If you're going to handle my hard-earned money that I'm giving up to get something, there's got to be an elevated level of care, trust. You're dealing with very big dollar amounts. People buy from people who they trust. I think the trust comes first.
So what makes a great sales rep?
It takes time. You have to pay attention to the big details, but really a lot of it is the small details, and be willing to and able to get creative to get to the sale. It's not as always cookie cutter or black and white. I want to be this payment, this money down, here you go, here's the car. Sometimes there's a lot of figuring things out. I'm only in the country during these days. I can only meet you during this time. I can only speak to you at night. And you got to figure out how to make these things work and line up for that person to get to the possibility of a sale. And if you can't do that, or if you're not willing to, which some people are not. Some people in sales, it's black and white. Here's my price, here's your payment, here's the money down, here you go. But if you can't do all the rest of those things, then that doesn't matter.
So you doing that is not going to lead to any retention. You may not get any referrals, the clientele that you're looking for, because it's just going to be a one-time shop.
If you just want to get to the sale, then yeah, get them a payment and the money down. Okay, you sold the car. That's great.
And that's it.
And now you got to go find the next one.
Yeah.
Or you could cultivate that relationship. You never know how many cars some people may buy. Believe it or not, I know this is a Lamborghini dealership and these cars aren't necessities, but I got clients that buy 10, 12, 15 cars a year. You're talking about a car a month.
Yeah.
Or more.
So they just trade in and out of cars.
Some don't.
Yeah.
Some keep it. But you'll never get to those kind of sales if it's just a transactional experience.
Yeah. What line of work do majority of your customers do?
Typically, local business owners, small business owners, all different things. A lot of people think it's all like athletes and doctors and lawyers, but
really,
most of the athletes don't fit in the cars. Doctors and lawyers are pretty low key. They like to drive like Porsche cars.
Yeah.
So I sell them a lot of pre-owns. It's usually just local business owners. Our profile of clients fairly young, 20s to 40s. They want to actually use the cars. They want to drive it. That's what leads them to Lamborghini. They're reliable. They want to be able to jump in anytime and go. You know, like I said, you're welcome to come back anytime. This is Eddie Jones. I'm here with Lido NYC, and we're signing off. Hopefully you enjoyed this journey through our little home here, Lamborghini Paramus. Like I said, we're open 6 days a week. Everyone's available to stop in anytime, even if you're not buying. You're more than welcome to come in. Well, the last thing I can leave you with is you just gotta want it, dream it more than everybody else, and it's definitely possible.
You heard it from the man himself, Eddie Jones, Lamborghini Paramus. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you.